record. This is a project idea for my assignment, my AI assignment. It's a sign language translation system. I'm going to be taking you through it, and we are following a few questions. So the first question is, describe the problem you want to solve and why it matters to the community. Basically, I'm trying to promote communication through sign language and then raise and promote awareness and sensitivity towards the deaf and the hard of hearing community. Also, I'm trying to develop an appreciation for the deaf culture and then eliminate the stigma that is associated with the deaf. So how does artificial intelligence apply to solving this problem? So basically, artificial intelligence is like, these are like technologies with the ability to perform tasks that would otherwise require human intelligence. Or it's like a theory and development of systems that can imitate or mimic functions of the human brain. For example, it's a system that should be able to think and act logically. So AI has eased the work of so many humans because of the automation, because with AI we're able to automate different devices, we're able to manage the repetition because the machines can repeat tasks without complaint. Then we increase productivity and solve more complex problems easily. So then how artificial intelligence is solving this problem is the system is able to recognize images in form of the different signs, and then it stores them in a data set. So the image recognition it basically starts with setting up this data set and then linking it to the available data. So it works by analyzing an image, then comparing it to the learned data set so that it can interpret what is present. For example, like what sign the person is trying to put out. What types of data am I using for the project? I'm using visual data. This is basically through computer vision, which is captured by cameras. So the idea is when someone is signing, there's like a camera that's recording them and then outputting text on and outputting text. So it's visual data and texture data. So yeah, the visual data is made up of images. Then the images are grouped according to what they contain, the quality, the color, the angles, and so many other things. So there are different types of this. We have supervised of learning. There are different ways in which the machine can be trained. It can be trained using supervised learning and also using unsupervised learning. So if we're using supervised, the model is trained using a labeled data set in order to predict the outcome of a sample of data. Then if it's unsupervised, the data set is not labeled. So the model is trained using an unlabeled data set. A few under supervised learning, we have techniques. One, classification and regression. So when we are in classification, the different gestures and facial expressions can be used to like determine what the person is going to say. Because then under regression, the words can maybe be auto-filled according to what is usually said. For example, if someone usually how are is followed by you, so that you can be auto-filled. Then also under unsupervised learning, we have a few techniques which are clustering and association. So for clustering, I think different positions and hand locations can be used to determine the kind of information that the person or the kind of communication that the person is trying to put out. Then with association, they can maybe classify different gestures according to like genders and what these genders usually communicate and say. Yeah. Then a few of the challenges that could be faced are things like inaccurate or insufficient training data. For example, if the data that I'm trying to use is not sufficient, I've not, for example, if I'm trying to capture sign language, I'll need like the whole alphabet. But now if in my data set, I only have like a few letters of the alphabet, then the training data is insufficient and it's going to become a problem. Then also I may overestimate the power and capabilities of the AI and expect it to do more than it can actually do. But these problems can be solved. The first one, I can just increase the amount of training data and build better models. Because if I need the alphabet, for example, I'll make sure that my data set has the entire alphabet. Then I can train the system using human experts with years of experience so that they're not being, they're being precise. So a few evaluation metrics for AI include accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 score. So the difference between these four is with accuracy, it's the ratio of what you've predicted correctly, the observations you've predicted correctly to the total number of observations. Then for precision, it's the ratio of what you've correctly predicted, the positive correct predictions to the total predicted positive observations. Recall is the ratio of correctly predicted observations to all the observations in that class. So if you are trying to predict the number of apples, take for instance, it's the number of apples you predicted correctly to the total number of apples that you have. Then for the F1 score, you're going to compute the weighted average of precision and recall. So for my particular problem, the most appropriate evaluation metrics I felt like were precision and recall, because precision really helps us to measure, to focus on the positive sample, the positive model. Then for recall, it is helping us to measure the number of positive data samples, which we've classified correctly. So here it's looking at what did you get correct. So that's it for my presentation.